just ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, you're feminist. If my understanding is correct, your view is that in the United States, there's a patriarchy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Global patriarchy in all countries, essentially. Perhaps stronger in other countries. Some countries have a stronger patriarchy than others.
Yeah.
Okay. And are women oppressed under the patriarchy?
Yes.
Are you oppressed under the patriarchy?
Not legally, but yes.
So what are some of the ways that you're oppressed?
Okay. Ways that I'm oppressed under the patriarchy. Objectification. Let's say, even though it was enacted by another woman, when I came on the show last time, she accused someone of trying to see my no-no zone as a female. If I was a man, I don't think anyone would have accused that at all.
Wait, what?
That doesn't sound like oppression.
That sounds kind of bad for the
yeah,
for
that
the
sounds
man.
bad for the men, not good
for the man
men.
who that happened
Yeah,
to.
it is bad for the men, but what I'm saying is the over-sexualization of women over time has grown to become bad for men. Because
Well, then how are you? I don't understand. How's that you being oppressed by the patriarchy thing?
that's a universal. Every woman is oppressed by the patriarchy in that sense. Or I guess I don't want to.
That would be the opposite.
Okay, I don't want to say
that would
oppressed
be,
by the
you gotta
patriarchy.
Take this chart and
every
you gotta
woman
flip it over, right?
Every woman experiences sexism in the fact that they're typically seen as objects of attraction before objects of intelligence.
What? So I don't. Okay.
Like
even I had a comment.
usually women are like physical trophies rather than their value is based. You've said this before on the last podcast. Their value is based on their fertility rather than their intellect.
That is one value.
Okay.
For attractiveness.
The patriarchy. Mm-hmm. How does the patriarchy impact me?
Yeah.
Oppress you.
Based on what we were talking about last time, you guys think that a good woman is a mother, right? And a wife, right?
Did we even make that
I'm
argument?
not sure that. No, there could be good women who cannot be mothers. Tons of them. There could be.
So
yes.
what are they supposed to do in life if they don't get a job?
I mean, they can do all sorts of things in life absent having a job. I mean, they can still be married and still be taken care of by their husbands, and they could still adopt. They could do all sorts of things.
Okay, but I'm saying you think that a woman's role is to be a caretaker in the home. You don't think a woman should go out and be president of the United States?
No, I don't think that. Well, I can't even get into that, but let's just say no. Generally speaking, yes, I think that women are happy, healthier at home rather than in the workforce because they all fucking hate it. And every time they get pulled on it, they don't like fucking working. They don't like working long hours. They don't like working. They don't like. Do you like working?
Yeah.
You do? Come on, really?
I find it to be more. I'd rather have a fulfilling career in my future than
a family?
Stay at home all day. No, I mean, I would.
Are you going to outsource the care of your kids to a Venezuelan woman named Marcy, or what do you?
No.
Is that what you're going to do, or are you going to stay home with your kids?
Why doesn't my husband stay home?
Well, because generally speaking, men tend to be able to make a lot more money because they work a lot more hours.
Actually, women tend to. I'm pretty sure more women have college degrees than men do in today's society. That's typically an indicator of earning potential. Yeah, it's true. That doesn't mean they make more money. But what I'm saying is a woman could very easily today have a higher paying job than her husband.
She could.
Yeah.
But they usually don't marry men when the man has the higher paying job. That's the big problem. There was a whole
What's the
thing
evidence for that claim?
Well, you can go to a channel called Ho Math. Not kidding. It's called Ho Math, where he breaks all of this down. And one of the things that he breaks down, and he's using...
We've had him on the show, by the way.
Yeah, he's using publicly available data in order to do this, is he shows that most women, when you look at the earning potential inside of a house, where there's wife and then later kids, the earning potential of the man almost always higher than a woman before she'll get married to him. In fact, the fact that this doesn't happen is one of the reasons that people clung on to the idea of hypergamy. because it's so commonplace that women will not marry if the social status of the man is less than her, including with earning potential.
Can a mother not like earn money and also be a mother?
Yeah, I mean, that used to be the status quo. They used to either work out of the home, or they would do secretary work, or they would do, education. They would do work like that. In fact, feminism completely failed in its job and its duty and its promise to women that it was going to make the world a safer place for women and children, and that it was going to, give all these different benefits to women. It really hasn't given them much.
We
in the
don't
way
want
of
safety.
benefits.
We want freedom of choice to make our own choices in society and not be assigned to a role of
but that
mother and
wasn't-
caretaker.
That wasn't the promise of feminism. The promise of feminism was that society was going to be a lot safer and women were going to be a lot happier.
You can't
because-
give one universal promise of feminism.
Well, we can look at what the original suffragettes were pushing for, and yeah, we can look at their writings and see what they said. And that was one of the big promises of feminism, was that they were going to make the world a safer place, and that women were going to be happier. And every metric we look at, women are more miserable than ever. And their mental health, 1 in 4 suffers from a mental illness. That's crazy to me. 1 in 4 women suffers from some kind of mental illness. They don't seem like they're happier and more well-adjusted. They seem like they're more miserable and not well-adjusted. And while it's true that you can sit here and tell me that you love working, I literally don't believe you, because nobody loves working. Nobody loves it. Like, very few people. You just happen to be, like, for instance, how many hours did you work last week? Was it 60? Was it 50? Was it less than 40?
I'm literally a full-time student. It was not 40, 50, or 60.
Right. Maybe 15?
About that, but that's not relevant to the point. The point is that if I enjoy going out and doing my career more than I do taking care of the kids at home, then why am I tied down to that outcome just because I'm physically weaker? That's
You
the
never
whole
were
point.
tied down to that outcome.
Yeah.
You could just
In
not
your
get
view.
you could just not get married. But if you are married, the optimal system, if you actually value your children, is to stay at home with them. How are they going to get better results than their mother at home with them while their father works? That is the most... If you can give me a more optimal system for raising children than mom at home while dad works, I'd love to hear it.
A more optimal system for raising children
Yeah.
than both parents at home. Neither work
But
and they're taking care of the
that
children.
would be entailed impossible, right? For most people.
What's the difference between that and having dad take care of the
Before
kids
we get into that,
and mom
I'll ask
work?
her next question, just like I've been answering all of your questions, but answer mine. Can you actually think of a better system than mom at home with the kids and dad working? What could possibly be more optimal for the children than that?
For the children, having 2 moms.
That would be more optimal?
They probably get nurtured better. You guys say mothers are better caretakers.
So I just want to make sure I got this right. First of all, the babies would have to come from somewhere, right?
I thought adoption was a huge thing that you just talked about
Yeah, but
earlier.
even if we were to entail that, let's just say I granted your argument and 2 moms would be optimal based on them adopting children. There's only going to be X amount of lesbians, which is a very small demographic, and X amount of children to adopt, which is also a small demographic. So that still could not actually be optimal. Even if I granted that it was better in certain circumstances, it could not actually be optimal for most of society to do this. That would not be optimal.
And neither is a woman staying at home and a man going out and working, because increasingly more we see the need for women to go out and work.
Why? No, we don't. If women retracted from the marketplace tomorrow and stayed home, men's wages would necessarily double or triple.
Okay. So if all women didn't work and their rights were attached to the men that were next to them, what if their husband dies?
Then they would do what has always been done and be able to inherit land. Like, I can give you an example of this happening. George, you know who George Washington was?
Yes.
Who was he?
The first president of the United States.
Yeah, he was married to Martha Washington, and they had a big falling out at one point in their marriage because she didn't want to free her slaves, which she inherited. As part of a giant estate, she didn't want to free them, and he couldn't make her. because women have always been allowed to own property. That's never been a problem. And if the man dies, though, they always were able to inherit his. That's why she was able to inherit from her father.
What about bank accounts and credit cards?
What about them?
That's a very recent development.
That's true, but do you know when it came to credit cards why it was that women didn't have credit cards? It's because men were responsible for their debt and women couldn't incur debt. It was illegal. So women couldn't go with a credit card and spend at a store. The man, if she did, the man was responsible for everything she spent for her husband.